Hey, what's going on? I'm Quis. This is another episode of the Knicks Report, joined as always by JD. JD, man, how's everything with you?
Everything's good, man. I'm excited to talk about this topic.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors swirling when it comes to the Knicks right now, and I think the biggest name that's been linked to the Knicks so far is Bradley Beal, and I think it's a polarizing discussion. Where do you fall on the issue?
I'm on the fence. And the reason I'm on the fence is because I understand what the Knicks may want to do, which is they want to win. And so they want to win soon. And when you want to accomplish that, you're obviously going to look at the marketplace to see what's available to put you in that position. Now, the reason I'm on the fence is because what's it gonna take to get a Bradley Beal? And I am under the belief, ideally, I would like for us to stay the course and build towards the future. But again, however, when I think about what's going on, I also like to think in in the perspective of the front office. How is the front office thinking? Different than how I'm thinking. How is Leon Rose thinking? What is the situation of our contracts? Who can be a free agent next year? Who is our best player? Because all that falls in line together. And so, I think the Knicks are trying to win. And where there's smoke, there's fire. There's no way that the Knicks are rumored with all these players, and this is just all leverage plays or leaks. Some of it, I believe, is very true. And so I think we're going to see here at the deadline. I would wait to the absolute last day. And the reason I would wait until the absolute last day is because you want to see where Dallas is at that point. Because you never know what could happen. They can end the stretch on a 4 or 5 game losing streak. They have been very up and down, and you don't know where we're going to land. So that pick can hold more value or less value if we wait to the absolute last day of the deadline. And I think then we should make a decision on what we want to do. We just have to be very, very careful on, not coming up with a trade that can really deplete our future.
Yeah, I'm on the fence as well, but I'm probably leaning to no move being made, especially in the middle of the season. It's Bradley Bill is a phenomenal talent and he's a great guard, one of the best in the league. But I just don't see a major move in the middle of the season while his team is starting to grow to be too beneficial for what we have right now. And I think this team is solid. I think we are showing that game by game we're getting better. And there was that stinker against the Magic where the second unit really wasn't there to support what we were doing with Julius Randle and even Peyton, who had a good game. But I think if we just stay the course, right, and not try to get crazy, because when I look at a deal for a superstar like Bradley Bill, I mirror that to what Houston got when they traded James Harden, and I just don't see us mortgaging the amount of picks that we have to bring in a Bradley Bill and then also jettisoning some of these younger players. We're not going to have enough to really fight and try to make a playoff push. So why leverage what we have now to make a effort to bring in Bill when I don't know if this team is going to go deep in the playoff run with Julius Randle and with Bradley Bill, especially if you're going to compare it with what's going on in Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean and that's why it leads back to what are they thinking? How are they evaluating this team? What do they feel is the state of the NBA, the state of the Eastern Conference? And I say that because when you look at the league this year, and if you see in the footprints of last year leading into this year, and you look at the best players in the NBA today, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and you look at their ages, in a few years, these guys are going to be on the downhill of their careers where they may not have the same impact on the league that they do now in terms of always being the hands-on favorites and there's nobody that has a chance. That may wear down in a year or two, right? And so when you look at that and then you analyze how the rest of the league is performing, especially in the Eastern Conference, right? who are you really afraid of? You know, the Milwaukee Bucks are a great season team every year, but do they scare you? Does Chris Middleton really scare you?
We beat them by 30, right? Bucks don't scare me.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like when you look at the Eastern Conference and you look at this year, there's so many teams. I mean, you win a game and you're jumping up 4 or 5 spots. You lose a game and you're going down 4 or 5 spots. So when you look at the East, if the Knicks may very well believe that they can be a top 3, top 4 team. And if you believe that, sometimes organizations think that's enough to make a move and say, let's see what happens in the playoffs. The Miami Heat have given people that belief. You know, we've seen it in the past with certain teams that have overachieved in the playoffs and have made an NBA Finals appearance. And so I think when you look at the East, you look at the competition, is a lot of parity, and we're heading towards a lot of parity as well. And then in a few years, a lot of these players at the top are going to get older. And then the best players that are going to be next in line after LeBron and Kevin Durant, the Luka Doncic, the Giannis, who really scares you? Who is really that next superstar that you will have in that Kevin Durant, Giannis conversation in terms of they're going to stranglehold the league like a Kobe in his era, Shaq in his era, Jordan in his era, LeBron in his era. Who is that next player that you know everywhere he goes, they are an immediate title contending team? And so if that player is not really there because Giannis has question marks, he can't shoot. Luka, it looks like, you know, we got a little bit ahead of ourselves. He needs a little bit of time, and he looks like a player that needs a little bit of help around him. So the Knicks may feel like, why not go for it now, but more so, let's just add a piece to the team to become a contender. And the next question I have is, if they believe that Julius Randle is a piece of the future, then you want to show him that you're going to win. Because if you pick up his team option next year, guess what? He's going to have leverage next year. Because if he becomes an all-star this year, becomes an all-star next year, now he has accolades. What's left? Financial security and winning. And so I think the Knicks, this is a tough decision right here, because you have to also be conscious of Julius Randle. He is a decision to make. And then from that decision leads on to the next decision, which is, do we go and get Bradley Beal? Do we go and get Zach LaVine? Do we go and get some of these other players that are in the rumor mill?
I hear you with the pairing of Randall and Bill, but the point you made right toward the end, Julius Randle's going to have that leverage, and Julius Randle at some point is going to command a max contract if he continues to play the way he's playing now. So I don't see Bradley Beal and Julius Randle both occupying 60%, 70% of your cap. You're not going to have enough to really fill around the remaining portion of this team. So if we go and make this Bradley Beal trade, we're going to deplete our roster, and we're not going to have enough cap space, I think, to really bring in quality pieces, especially when you're looking at other teams and how they may be better positioned for long playoff runs. And that's going to really eat at the player pool when it comes to adding and trying to build a legit playoff contender. So that's why I've had issues with a potential big deal or a big move, especially mid-season. You know what I mean?
Yep. And when I say I'm on the fence, is more so I would love to have a player that has his abilities, right? He can shoot, he can create a shot. He is a player that you can just sprinkle into multiple systems, whether it is he can get you a bucket in a slow pace. If you want to run, you can run with him, and he can shoot threes in transition. But again, when you think about where you may have to give up, that's when I say, you know what? Let's pull back. Let's continue to build. We got quickly with the 25th pick. Let's put it on the front office, and let's continue to draft well and build. But again, then the question becomes, Randall, if we don't win quickly, no pun intended, then we may lose the risk of losing him. And then now next year we're talking about potentially trading him. And then if we talk about potentially trading him, there's going to be people that's going to question the process. What was the point then? So in the end, it is a very tough decision. I think what we're getting at is I don't think you and I would want to be in that front office right now trying to make this decision, because I think any way you go, there's question marks. You stay put, that's going to be questioned. You make the move, depending on what we give up, that's going to be questioned. So I guess we just have to put faith in the front office and see what World Wild West can cook up behind the scenes.
Yeah, I make these decisions every day in 2K, bro. I'm built for this.
I
But I
wish,
mean, I like the point. Go ahead. What were you saying?
as I say, I wish we could, this could be 2K and we can make the moves ourselves.
I
That
hear
would be
you, but I like that point you brought up with we have to appease Julius Randle as well. So that might bring us to the next guard that was kind of mentioned or linked to the Knicks, who may potentially be cheaper than Bradley Beal, and that's CJ McCollum. Stephon Bondi made the post or the article where the Knicks are actually inquiring or monitoring the situation with CJ in Portland. How do you feel about that, especially with CJ currently being injured?
exactly. And that what I feel about that is when you look at, so the report is they're monitoring CJ McCollum's situation, right? And if this report is true, when you look at the fact that they went after Gordon Hayward, right? A player that's injury prone. And now you're looking at the fact that they're monitoring the situation of a player that has 3 years guaranteed at about $100 million left, right? That's currently injured. And what that tells me, if it's true, that the Knicks are looking to win now. That's what it's telling me. And so we may be in a situation here where we want to build and we want to build through the draft, but it may look like the Knicks front office kind of wants to do more of a fast rebuild where they may not want to do something crazy in terms of giving up the whole farm system, but they may want to be interested in a move to where we, take another level up and we pair someone with Randall or we add another dynamic piece. And again, I connect Hayward's pursuit with some of these players that have multiple years left in their contract as an indicator that the Knicks are looking to make a move. And so, he's a player that, a great scorer and he has playoff experience. He would be a solid addition. I think at this point is all going to be about what we have to give up to get that player.
Yeah, I think CJ is an interesting one because we don't know what it'll cost to really acquire a CJ. Like we can look at Bradley Bill and mirror that off the James Harden deal because they're similar players. But with CJ, he's a player that's injured. He's a player that still has 3 years, 100 mil on his contract roughly, and he's also a player that we're looking at the Trailblazers now, and in his absence, they're still experiencing success. So if CJ can be had for cheap, because we don't have to give up a lot of salary. Remember, we still have some cap space available to us. I still think we're below the salary cap floor. So if we're able to bring in CJ for a cheap deal, something that's not going to cost too much in draft capital, and still allow us to maintain and have a deep bench, a deep a second unit that has helped propel us in a lot of these games, then I think we could really have a legitimate contender if CJ can stay healthy. So like you said, this is all going to be dependent on what we have to give up. And, I might lean a little bit more towards the CJ route, not because CJ is a better player, just because I would see the Knicks being able to get a lot more value from him because it wouldn't cost us so much in the long haul.
Yep, and he's 29. He won't be 30 until September, right? And so, he's averaging 26, almost 27 points per game, 4 rebounds and 5 assists in this season so far. And so, it's also is not a bad contract. If you get him and if in a few years it doesn't work out, he'll be entering a contract year and you see what you would do then. So I wouldn't be opposed to a CJ McCollum. It would just be about what we have to give up.
Facts. And then there's one more name that's kind of been circulating. Boogie. They're
Boogie,
saying Boogie in New York might be a fit. How?
I don't know that he's a fit. My thing on Boogie's is I don't know that he's a fit only because at this point in his career, with his injuries, he just doesn't have that lift anymore. He's not averaging. He used to average a steal and a block every season. He's not doing it on the past 2 seasons. And that is an indicator to me that, some of the timing is off, some of the explosion is off, some of the lift is off, which also hurts your defense. And if Tom Thibodeau is a defensive coach, defensive-minded coach, Cousins is, and that's what he's struggling. He's going to be struggling now with in the NBA. Is you used to be a star, and now you're trying to find a way how you can contribute to a team. But that's how. If I'm him, I'm trying to do everything I can to come to the Knicks because of the Kenny Payne connection, right? Kenny Payne deserves a lot of credit for how Nerlens Noel and some of the Kentucky players, Julius Randle, have been contributing to this team. If I'm him, I'm looking to revive my career. I don't know how much value he's going to get from ring chasing with the Nets or the Lakers. Okay, you win a ring. You don't even know if you're going to play any minutes in the playoffs, right? And then you win a championship ring that doesn't attach to performance. But you come to the Knicks, you still have an opportunity to make the playoffs. And Kenny Payne may work with you to where you could become a contributor and you don't have to be here long term. You may get another contract. But if I'm him, that not the Knicks, if I'm him, I'm looking to reconnect with Kenny Payne and come to the Knicks. If I'm the Knicks, I don't see the fit here.
The Nets are playing Jeff Green at center. Boogie Cousins is going to the Nets and he's getting minutes. he's getting minutes. I don't know what. Go ahead.
It makes sense. They play no defense.
Exactly. That's the better fit, honestly, because if he comes to New York, we're going to expect him to play defense. And I don't think that is a place that Boogie Cousins can really excel right now. And if he's not going to be doing that on the court, then Tibbs is going to pull him. And then we already know if Boogie gets disgruntled, he is not afraid to let it be known. So to be honest, I think the better spot for him is over there in Brooklyn. He cannot play defense with them and he can just grab rebounds.
Yeah. And there'll be even more questions in the defense. His fit with Randall, clogging the paint, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't think that's going to happen. But if I'm him, I'm looking to make it happen.
Okay, so I guess we'll wrap it up there. Those were the 3 big names that were currently linked to the Knicks. So now I just want to know, let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think the Knicks should target Boogie, CJ, or Bradley Beal? Let us know down in the comments. I'll be able to respond. JD, he'll also be in the comments and he'll be able to respond to you as well. So once again, I'm Quis, joined as always with JD, and we're out.
All my stress.